Hansel and Gretel, a fairy tale adventure in the enchanted forest. Before you start, remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel to see more stories like this and learn the secrets of the best fantasy adventures. Once upon a time, in a small village on the edge of an enchanted forest, there lived a loving father with his two children, Hansel and Gretel. Family life was modest but happy, at least until their new stepmother arrived. The woman, strict and pragmatic, was always worried about the family's financial problems. The carefree days became rare, and soon the stepmother made a cruel decision: to take the children into the forest and abandon them, in the hope of reducing the mouths to feed. But little Hansel and Gretel, clever and united, heard the plan and immediately thought of a counter-strategy. So it was that one night, under the moonlight, the two brothers prepared some breadcrumbs to scatter along their path to find their way home. They left with their parents at dawn, going deeper and deeper into the thick forest, where the trees twisted like mysterious giants and a magical silence filled the air. The stepmother and father left the children in a bare spot in the forest with the excuse of gathering wood. When they realized they were alone, Hansel and Gretel immediately began to look for the path marked by the crumbs. But to their horror they discovered that their ruse had been thwarted. The animals of the forest had devoured every trace. The two brothers found themselves lost. But even in their fear, Hansel took Gretel by the hand and promised her that they would find a way out. Wandering through the forest, they discovered that it was not an ordinary place. The trees not only rustled, but seemed to sing sweet melodies. Little glowing mushrooms illuminated their steps, and curious squirrels watched them from above the branches. They began to lose their fear, replacing it with wonder. However, their hunger grew. For 2 days they searched for fruits and berries, until one evening, at sunset, a sugary smell attracted them. Hansel and Gretel followed the scent until they found something surprising: a little house made entirely of sweets. The walls were made of biscuits, the door was made of chocolate, and the roof was covered with icing and candy. Hungry, they immediately began to break off little pieces and taste them, laughing with joy. But suddenly the door creaked open. An old woman stood before them, wrapped in a pink striped cloak like a giant candy. Her smile was kind but strangely disturbing. "My little ones, are you hungry? Come in, I will offer you an even richer feast," she said in a soft voice. The woman led them into the magical house, a true paradise of sweets. The table was full of cakes, donuts, and jellies. Hansel and Gretel ate until they were full, then fell into a deep sleep on the soft beds. But the next morning, something changed. The sweet grandmother revealed herself for what she was: a witch with dark intentions. She trapped Hansel in a cage and ordered Gretel to help her prepare meals to fatten up her brother. "When he's nice and plump," the witch laughed, "I'll cook him into a delicious roast." Before continuing, remember to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Sharing stories like these with your friends will help us tell you more and more amazing stories. Gretel was terrified, but she would never let her brother fall victim to the witch. She began to think of a plan to save him. In the weeks that followed, Hansel gave her strength with his encouragement. "If we stick together, we can do this. You are smarter than she is," he said from the back of the cage. The witch, growing impatient, often checked Hansel to see how fatter he had become. But Hansel, ingenious, used a chicken bone instead of a finger to fool her into thinking he was still too thin. One morning, the witch, tired of waiting, decided to bake Gretel first. She ordered her to light the oven and go in to check if it was hot enough. But Gretel pretended not to understand. "I don't know how to do it, can you show me?" she asked, with innocence mixed with cunning. Annoyed, the witch approached the oven to demonstrate how to test the heat. In a flash, Gretel pushed the witch into the hot oven and closed the door. With her heart pounding, she immediately ran to free Hansel. With the witch now defeated, the two brothers explored the house and found a chest full of jewels and gold coins. It was an immense treasure, enough to solve all their family's problems. Happy, they decided to take it with them and began their journey home. Hansel and Gretel walked for days, but this time they were not afraid. The forest no longer seemed so threatening, and the magical signs they had encountered on the way there now guided them home. Finally, thanks to their determination, they recognized the boundaries of the village. Their father was waiting for them, and he welcomed them with tears of joy and warm hugs. In the meantime, their stepmother had disappeared. No one knew exactly where she had ended up, but the two brothers didn't care. Want to know how the story continues? Leave a like and subscribe to the channel. Many more amazing stories await you. Thanks to the treasure brought by the gingerbread house, Hansel, Gretel and their father were able to put an end to their difficulties. From that day on, they lived in serenity and gratitude, without any fear of the future. Hansel and Gretel, now grown up after that incredible adventure, had learned that courage, mutual trust and cunning can overcome any obstacle. Thus, with hearts full of magic and hope, the family lived happily ever after. The story of Hansel and Gretel will forever remain a tale of strength and family unity, capable of teaching young and old the value of love, courage and inventiveness even in the most difficult moments. And so ends this fairy tale, leaving in the hearts of those who travel with their imagination the sweet taste of a timeless story.